Why the hell would you stick with Samsung after their phones exploded? Well, here's my answer. What's going on YouTube? Andrew Huang here with LPX Tech again, and first of all, I'm going to just address the trollers. Yes, you may call me a Samsung fanboy, whatnot, Apple rocks, blah blah blah. I know a lot of you just troll these videos in the beginning, so go ahead and comment down below. But the rest of this video is mainly for my subscribers and for those who really want to understand my logic on why I stuck with Samsung. And number one, I'm going to get out of the way. No, I am not a fanboy. Whether or not you want to believe me or not, I actually defy you to watch the rest of this video to find out about my points. So before I go on to the minor details, the major point that I wanted to point out on why I decided to stay with Samsung, knowing all the problems, is because of its ecosystem. There was a lot of things that the company offered all in one package that really made it appealing to me. Mainly being this quartet of devices. Now, I only have 3 because my friend is actually borrowing my Gear 360 camera, but there were 4 key devices that all worked in sync with one another, or at least in unison, that made it really appealing to me to stay in Samsung. Between a spiritual successor to the Gear Fit as well as the Gear S, my favorite watch of all, rest in peace watch, a really good performing phone, a 360 camera, an actual 360 camera, not a one-directional 360 camera, as well as a solid virtual reality experience that was well integrated with the 360 camera. Now, yes, I understand that there were some other companies that released their own respective 360 cameras, as well as LG, but those cameras, except the LG, I know it had 2 fisheye lenses, but other than the LG and the Gear 360, no other company released a viable 360 camera that gave you the full in-depth virtual reality environment. They were either cut off from the top or the bottom or the sides because it was one directional or one camera. The advantage of the Gear 360 as well as the LG 360 camera was you had 2 190-degree view 360 lenses that really gave you, I mean, it wasn't 100% 360 because you had this like little invisible line that was missing, but overall it was able to take close to 4K images with those 2 fisheye cameras. And unlike LG, the Gear 360 was designed to work with the Galaxy S7 as well as the Note 7, rest in peace, but it was meant to work with the S7 so you can go ahead and immediately stream it right from the Gear 360, edit it, go ahead and upload it to Facebook or whatnot or YouTube, as well as go ahead and view it in your virtual reality device, the Gear VR. And I know a lot of you may downplay this, but this is seriously a big deal. And I'm going to bring this point up a lot when I talk about the Gear VR as well as the 360 cameras in the future. And I've already spoke about it before, but a really big thing for me is this is the first consumer-friendly version of this technology, because even 2 years ago when the Gear VR first came out, the Innovator Editions, you know, we were stuck with like these big honking 360 rigs that were definitely not affordable and not user-friendly for the everyday people. A lot of programs were involved as well as a lot of cameras and expensive cameras. But the fact that they were able to miniaturize it into this small device and make it almost point and shoot. Yes, there's some knowledge that needs to be known and it's not quite there yet, but it's 90% there. The biggest thing that won me over to Samsung and within this technology category was that I could literally point, like I just mentioned, point, shoot, edit and crop, and then share it. And I actually did this. I might post some clips of the videos of my family members trying it out, but I was showing them how we could literally capture the moment. So I did Thanksgiving dinner. I also shot when my parents first came to the hospital to see my son after he was born. I shot those memories. And the key thing is, the key takeaway, guys, is that you can relive those memories. I can go back any moment now, pop my Gear VR on, and relive that moment when my parents first saw my son, when my family was over for Thanksgiving, us playing some games, talking, going around in our backyard, or going around the neighborhood, or just that moment. I mean, it's like, I encourage you to watch my Gear VR video where I go more in depth in this topic, but just being able to do that, you guys have no idea. A lot of people really knock this technology. People are like, it's stupid, it's too expensive, and I agree. $400, $300 even for a 360 camera is a little much. I mean, but when compared to a DSLR camera, like the one I'm using now, is the price pretty justified for what you're getting out of it? And in my mind, yes, I know for the everyday consumer it's not quite there yet, but we need to start somewhere, and Samsung's starting. And yes, I know a lot of people will argue that, well, it's the first generation, it's gonna get better anyway, other companies will release it, fine. But I want to experience it now and not wait and start capturing these moments in my life, especially with my newborn son. The fact that I'm able to record these big moments and then later on be able to share it with not only my sister who's in California, who couldn't be here for a lot of the big events, but later when my dad gets older, my mom gets older, they both have risks for Alzheimer's in the future because my grandmother had it. And for them being able to relive a memory is gonna be a big deal. And I think it's gonna be a big deal for a lot of things. And this is obviously a topic for later on, but that's something that you guys really need to think about. A lot of you Apple fans, if you actually stuck to this part of the video, you guys fail to recognize that a company needs to be innovative and release new technologies. That's my biggest gripe with Apple, folks. That's why I haven't gone over yet. Nothing new from the company, but or at least integration. This is a very nice ecosystem. I understand they have a very nice music and app ecosystem, but a technology ecosystem like this, Google is on the verge of it with their Google Cardboard, their Android Wear, and as well as their Google Pixel. They're on the doorsteps of it right now, and I feel like they're gonna be doing something even bigger with Google Glass later on. Fingers crossed. But I can literally go on and on about this technology. There's plenty of videos out there. You guys have seen all the 360 videos that have been coming out. You may find it gimmicky, but the biggest thing is being able to use it in this. If you were able to get a Samsung Gear VR and you have a compatible phone, I really encourage you to actually go back onto Facebook or YouTube, go to these videos and watch how they were meant to be watched. Because simply watching it like this, I mean, it's cool, you get some sort of perception, but once you put it into these goggles, you are literally in there. I literally just shot a couple pictures for my business. If you guys want to check them out, go to my Facebook page, Gamers Heaven. You can check out some of the 360 pictures that we just put up. But for people who, some of you subscribers who actually have the Gear VR and want to see what my store looks like today, almost 2 years later, go ahead and strap it on and see what the store looks like right now and how far we've come. But even that, how cool that is? The fact that I can share that with you guys and you can literally see what it feels like to be there and not just a little 2D image. It's insane. Mark my words, guys, this is just the beginning and Samsung has a head start. It's not like they're gonna win. I'm not saying they're gonna win, but they have a head start in front of all the competition. So they can either keep, take this momentum and keep going, or let Apple take over, or let whoever take over, but it's gonna be up to them. Now, the other reason why I stuck with Samsung too is the smartwatches. Now, this right here is the original Samsung Gear S, technically the 3rd generation smartwatch from Samsung from over 2 years ago at this point. Rest in peace. This thing finally kicked the bucket after 2 years, and I went to try to go get a replacement device, but they wouldn't accept it because they don't make them anymore. And a lot of you who actually subscribe to my channel were subscribed to me because of this watch here. And I think all of you agree that this is still the best smartwatch that's out there. And I don't mean in terms of quality, the metal bands or whatnot, the apps. I think just overall, straight up smartwatch. If you haven't watched my old videos, it pretty much, you don't need all the extra stuff because it just needs the basics, because at the end of the day, you're gonna go back to your phone. But for what it did, for fitness, music, even emergency phone calling, emergency internet browsing, even if you wanted to watch videos, longevity, comfort, lightness, water resistancy, durability, this thing went through absolute hell. The reason mine is broken is because I literally put it through hell. Go watch my old videos. I put it through a dryer. I threw it all around. I dropped it from a 2-story building. Boiling water, whatever you want to say. I literally beat this thing up. You can look at the band on how much I scraped against walls in my car and hit things. This thing survived. I think all of that wear and tear finally took a toll, plus the battery I think was giving away. But even right before it died, it would still last 2.5 days with no charge. So hats off to you, Samsung. And then hats back on, because they haven't really built a great successor to this smartwatch. And to be honest, I still think that this is still the best looking watch that they've made. I am not a fan of the Circle Gear S2s and Gear S3s, because I'm not a watch user. I never was, and it's like I don't want another watch. I wanted a new technology piece. That's my own gripe. They're not bad watches, but they just didn't fit my need. And I know a lot of you are split on that, but I know a good handful of you agree with me that this is still the design that they prefer. Hence why I went with the Gear Fit 2. And I know that was a long introduction to the Gear Fit 2, but seriously guys, I'm really happy with this because, I mean, I do miss my big screen. Don't get me wrong. But I'll put it this way. Occasionally this watch did get in the way. Now I didn't like take it off every 2 minutes or something, but you know, it was light. I would forget about it throughout the day, but occasionally I would feel it. And this is the reason why I never wore watches. Like I just felt uncomfortable with stuff on my wrist. This thing right here is the best of both worlds because I owned the original Gear Fit over, oh my God, almost 3 years ago. I owned that device and that thing was awesome. Aside from the lack of apps, for what it did for notifications, calls, waterproof fitness, it did what it needed to do. And I only upgraded to this because this was, you know, a beaster thing. But it was a nice blend of the two because the Gear Fit 2 obviously has a few more devices, a little bit more customization, and a few other features that were missing from the original Gear, as well as from even the Gear S here. I will do a video on this later on, but overall guys, very happy with this. Essentially what I did was the replacement plan for this covered the cost of this guy. And I had some leftover credit that I used for video games and stuff. But I am very happy with this, and right now it is currently at 6% after 4 days of use. Now, that doesn't compare well to the original Gear Fit where it actually lasted 5 days. Whether you want to believe me or not, that's up to you. I use my smartwatches very minimalistically. I use it specifically just for time, notifications, and my alarm. I actually sometimes wear it overnight when I need to go to work and I have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, so I have to wake up at 3:30 to get to work by 4. And this thing actually I wear on those days because it helps me wake up because it buzzes along with my alarm. But aside from that, I don't do much heavy use on it because it always keeps track of the steps for me. I don't really care for the heart rate monitor or some of the other apps because they end up being useless in my use. I know everyone's different, but in my use, I'm very minimalistic, and being minimalistic, it's essentially power saving mode. And I stretched it for 4 days and it's still going. I'm obviously going to charge it right afterwards of this video so I can have it ready for tomorrow, but it's been a great device. You know, ever since this guy broke, I actually went about a month without a smartwatch, and I've made a couple of videos on that topic before, and it was a noticeable difference. I ignored a million calls. I literally, because I'm so used to leaving my phone on silent because of the smartwatch that I kept missing calls, text messages, messages from my wife. Even got to the point where I almost missed my, my wife having contractions because I wasn't reading the messages. Shame on me, obviously. But ever since I got it, I'm back on track and responding to emails and calls again. Not to say that it's, it's good that I'm reliant on this thing, but it's just made it that much more convenient. Because I'm so used to leaving my phone away that my phone's battery just lasts a really long time because I'm not constantly taking it out. Now, the only annoying part of smartwatch users is, yes, every time you look at a notification, someone thinks that you're looking at the time. And it subconsciously is a negative behavior. But all you have to do is say, oh, no, I'm sorry, I'm getting a notification because I'm a smartwatch. You just gotta kind of point that out to people. And the fact that I still have to do those kind of actions pretty much over 3 years later since the smartwatches have come out and I've been using them, it just shows me that not everyone still knows about this tech or even is knowledgeable about this technology. And so, it's a nice way to teach them. Now, bringing it back to the main point, I know I've talked a lot of the good things about why I like the specific devices that Samsung released and why I purchased them. They're essentially, the reasons I just said are the reasons why I purchased them. But overall, they're just solid devices. Yes, I understand that the Note 7 was having explosion issues and whatnot. People are just not thinking when they're using these devices, Obviously, it's not the consumer's fault that they just plug whatever it is in. If it gets hot, they just put it under a pillow, etc., etc. As these devices are increasing capacity, they're competing with each other. The companies are trying to make their batteries charge faster, make them lighter, last longer, make them high capacity. All these things aren't easy to do. It's going to be trial and error. And Samsung is big enough that I know that this error cost them a lot. They're gonna bounce back. They have the capital to. But what they do from here going forward is going to be very important. I'm gonna keep a very close eye on them. I'm not gonna blindly follow them. Like, I don't wanna, this is not to call out the Apple people, but a vast majority of Apple users blindly follow Apple without thinking about it. They just assume that they're the best. I don't assume Samsung's the best. And as of right now, they've released, in my opinion, the best ecosystem of devices. Not the operating system, the music, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about the ecosystem of the devices, okay? Like a TV and a Blu-ray player and a sound system, that kind of thing. So I'm not saying that they're the best tech or the best, performance or the best operating system. I'm not saying any of that, so please skip commenting about those things. I'm a tech person and I bought these for the tech, okay? With that said, these devices aren't perfect. The one thing about the Gear 360, it overheats. You can't record for more than 20, maybe 30 minutes at a time. The most I've recorded was about 30 minutes. It does overheat and needs to cool down because, let's be honest, there's a lot of things going on in that little machine, so it's understandable why it needs to cool down. So that's my little gripe. It's the prototype. It's pretty much the first generation model, so I'm gonna give it a pass on that one because number one, how cool it is. Number two, I do have some gripes with the S7 Edge. Screen's beautiful. It is fine. But I've noticed that the Edge screen gets a little annoying to use, especially if you don't have a screen. I recently got one because I finally dropped it and cracked the back glass by accident, so I finally got a case for it. But without the case, you're finding yourself your hands are big. Not all of us have bone fingers and hands. So a lot of people, their skin will flap over to even a part of the screen. And once you do that, the screen detects that you're touching it there and it messes up your typing, etc. and whatnot. Now, it was annoying at first. I did get used to it. Another big gripe that I have with not just Samsung, pretty much all the major carrier phones, is all the pre-installed applications. They're very annoying. I'm with AT&T right now and they're pushing this DirecTV thing, and I'm constantly getting messages that DirecTV has failed, Flipboard. I'm tired of Flipboard. I don't want any of these things on here, and I have no way of removing them unless I root the device, and I'm trying not to. I have my reasons, folks, don't judge me on it. But it sucks that I'm just not able to do that, and it does annoy me. And there's a couple other things that do annoy me about the change. I actually, from time to time, I think about going back to my Note 4. And the biggest thing, so the biggest gripe, and I know a lot of people might think, and this is actually be another video topic too, was it worth upgrading from my Note 4 to the S7? And to be honest, no. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm happy with the device, I'm still using it, obviously, much better with the virtual reality and stuff, but from a day-to-day usage, I actually miss using my Note. Now, obviously, after using the S7 Edge, this feels bigger to me, but when I first took this guy out of the case, it felt just fine. After replacing the battery and giving it a brand new screen that I put on myself, it was like brand new again. The phone's not bad. It still performs really well. The screen's beautiful. You don't really need much out of it. And then, I don't know, and like in 2 years, I thought that the devices would have jumped enough, after constantly just waiting and watching the review videos and just seeing what they did with the Note 5 and what the Note 7 Edge would have completely been. Essentially the Note 7 Edge was pretty much a beefed up version of the S7. To be honest, I didn't really see a big deal. I mean, a lot of people argue online all the time that, they're very incremental increases. And after 2 years, I really didn't see much. Maybe the S8 will, change my opinion, but I don't know. They have to literally do a radical design, and I don't really want to focus on rumor stuff. I'd rather wait until they actually release the device to talk about it, but they gotta do something. They gotta do something to make up for what they did. To be honest, when I was deciding to upgrade a phone, guys, it wasn't an easy decision. There are so many other phones out there that I could have chose from, and nothing really stuck out to me. The OnePlus phones, I know a lot of you have been messaging me about them, and I love them. They're bare knuckle performance machines, and they're awesome. But they didn't offer the ecosystem that I wanted. Now, if I didn't care about the 360 videos, the cameras, the virtual reality, I would have gotten the OnePlus phones because honestly, that's what I need. That's all you need. Pure performance, good battery life, awesome screen, just overall good design. It's been getting nothing but good reviews in my opinion. So that's a phone that you should check out. But other than just a few minor gripes, I was happy with my decision because especially during this holiday season, I was able to share and record some really good memories for the future. And this is just the beginning because I know that this year they're gonna release the second generations of these 360 cameras and these devices, and they're only going to get better from here. And I hope that I can go ahead and share some of those experiences and videos with you guys. And I know a lot of you won't jump to buy these technologies now, and instead, just hear me out. I mean, obviously you may agree with some of my points and you can't afford it and you just want to wait. Perfectly reasonable. I am not sponsored by them whatsoever, so I get nothing if you buy it, so I do not care. But obviously consider these points when you think about these devices. Don't just jump to say, well, it's that company, they're bad. Well, look at what they're doing and see what the devices can do. Don't look at the Gear VR and the Gear 360 as a gimmick because they're not. You gotta look beyond that. Like, don't be so narrow-minded when you think about these devices. And I know that this video has gone for a long time. If you actually stuck through this part, hats off to you. Thank you. Video retention. Woohoo! No, shameless marketing there, guys. But seriously, like when you're thinking about these kind of devices, really think about it, because if you're narrow-minded, you might actually miss out on an opportunity. You might not give a company the chance that actually deserves for what they did. With the Gear 360, I hope they sold enough to warrant a second generation, because just like what they did with the smartwatches, because the first Gear watch that they came out, they didn't sell much. They didn't. But they still continued on with it. They brought the Gear 2, the Gear 2 Neo, the Android Gear. They brought out the Gear Fit. They just kept bringing model after model after model, and they just kept going at it. And that's why I stuck with Samsung for so long, because they kept working to improve a piece of technology. They were the first. They weren't the first movers, but they were one of the first major players to do so. Companies like Apple, they just followed. For me, I would like to see other companies start to ramp up their development. LG starting to catch up in a big way. In my opinion, I feel like LG has surpassed Samsung in the TV market, especially after this CES, but that's just my opinion. But in terms of the mobile technology, my thing is, I feel like Google's gonna come out of left field. They have the Google Cardboard, the version 2, they have the Pixel now, they have all these Android Wear devices, especially Android Wear 2.0 coming out, and then they've been working on Google Glass. And I know a lot of you have probably forgotten or just literally forgotten about Google Glass, but I wouldn't count out that technology just yet. That first version that they came out with was just simply a proof of concept, not practical whatsoever. I tried wearing it for a day, was annoying to use, wasn't that great. But that was just a proof of concept model that actually had some functionality. I can bet you $5 that they've been working on it. Now, don't be surprised if soon they release a pair of glasses that work seamlessly with the Google Pixel and the Android Wear watches. If that happens, I am jumping ship, because I definitely want to mess with some of those. I want to be one of the first movers on those technologies. So whatever they cost, I'm going to save up money for them, because that's going to be awesome. But who knows? The other companies might be working on the same thing. Microsoft's already on their HoloLens, and it's already gotten significantly smaller than the first version. A lot of you may argue that it's still big, and yes, it is, but compared to what they initially shown the previous year, it's a lot smaller. And it can only get smaller from there as they keep improving the tech. So guys, that was my super long, overly detailed reason why I decided to stick with Samsung. I know my videos sometimes go off tangent, but I hope my point got across to you guys on why I decided to stay. And I would like to hear your opinion. Did you agree with some of the points I just said during the video? Are you an Apple fan person that decided to stick through and want to keep arguing with me? Go ahead and comment down below. If you guys have any questions, I may not be able to respond to you directly, but if I have enough people ask me a certain question, I'll make a video on it. I know I don't have much time lately to record a video for you guys, but I'll do my best to kind of fit it in between running my business, working full-time, and raising my son. Who knows, my son might be in my next video like he was during my New Year's. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you liked it and watched this part, please leave a thumbs up. And if you haven't already done so, please do hit that subscribe button for more videos in the future that will be coming. And you know, they're definitely gonna be, I'm gonna keep it simple. I think a lot of you agree that I think I do better with the simple, not high production, so we'll keep it at that. But as always, guys, thank you for watching my videos, and whatever time of day it is in the world that you guys are watching this video, I really appreciate your time, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.